Okay, for this next story, it's a sequel to the next arrival of the Scorthians. And this title sounds even more ominous. Scorthian Takeover. The soldiers from a planet we call Scorthia have invaded our cities and imposed martial law. They know at least as much about us as we do ourselves. It is uncanny how they can predict our every move. But for now, they simply want to contain us and observe how we behave after this detestable enemy has poisoned our atmosphere for more than 2 centuries with their dark vapors, clouds of forgetting, where the entire human population went into an anesthetized state, of which we can still remember nothing. Despite our decade upon decade of research, we did not understand anything about them until now, when they have finally chosen to corral human beings across the planet simultaneously by closing off our cities to one another. And our common enemy is very dangerous. They can seize any number of us at any time they please, and there is nothing we can do to stop them. And they want us to think that, above all, we are completely powerless. People of this planet are inherently useful to them. We, and by this I mean the final conclusion presented at the United Nations, we can expect with good reason that the Scorthians will draw aside the veil from themselves. They have discovered a race of beings they can coax and guide into a colony. They have manipulated us for generations to ultimately fear them in ways we cannot even imagine. Wars in this new still to be fathomed digital age share a few commonalities imposed by the forces of gravity in our solar system and within the carbon and silicon atoms. We have already succeeded in monitoring and recording various Scorthian threats. They can be characterized with greater detail, of course, and their purposes for us will become uncomfortably clear. These creatures have discovered how to live for several centuries. We already know they are merciless. They have evolved over millions of years just like us, only they discovered how to prolong their lives. A theory, mind you, but a well-accepted one. There's a familiar adage, if something can go wrong, it will go wrong. This proposition shattered their centuries-long period of undisturbed reflection. Yes, it seems to have given them pause. It seems to have pricked them with the sensation of worry. To them, a completely alien emotion. Just like many of us, as we get older, I have lived through the aftermath of one of the Scorthian attacks. We all regain consciousness simultaneously with total amnesia. People with families tend to fare better psychologically. In my case, I awoke in the living room, my living room. There were 3 other people. They turned out to be my wife and my 2 children, who had both been going to college at the time. By the end of the 2nd week, we had regained most of our memories. Yet many people have said that the Scorthian intrusion every 37 years stole away many of their memories forever. Only the young are free from this experience until that day arrives, which has been the center of the nightly news hour for the past year. But now they have taken over our cities. They have cut us off from one another. So now we no longer trust anyone from another city, since he would have to evade the Scorthian network of surveillance and teams of skilled soldiers who could catch most escapees. Yet a lucky few manage to escape into the country where the Scorthian surveillance networks are far more limited. Work took place on all fronts to develop a way to repel the Scorthians. But then our plan of insurgency against the Scorthians would have to prove effective. And still the Scorthians were always clever enough to find these communications and trace them back to their origin. The Scorthians were the present-day enactment of Lucifer, bringing madness down upon the world once again. The Scorthians had become Lucifer's henchmen in many people's minds. We looked at the Scorthians as an overpowering force. Some fell into the use of metaphors, including hurricanes and tornadoes. But in my view, every 37 years they came here and they raped us. But now each city is on its own to deal with the Scorthian patrols through the projects and neighborhoods. They are giants and average about 7 feet 6 inches tall. Their faces are bland enigmas. They will take people with them after some of their visits. This is what has become deeply disturbing and terrifying when it happens. We still do not know what the Scorthians do with their victims. This is the next phase in their relations with us. Of course, they want to remain and squeeze out the last drop of their amusement from toying with the population of Earth people, yet they will also see the grave error they made when they assumed their biological protections were adequate, and we know that an airborne virus might possibly drive them away. We would spray them with a smoke of our own undetected, and the Scorthian defense would finally have been breached. These creatures now contaminated with a virus that would begin to kill them and hopefully drive them away. All we have to do was convey our thoughts back and forth in handwritten messages. Any remarks having to do with the Scorthians are always composed in longhand first. Later on, they may become interesting records, artifacts of an era, but for now they are how we communicate with one another. Wives, husbands, children were soon writing messages to contribute to the mounting problem the Scorthians would have in finding the documents concerning the insurgency. We soon discovered the Scorthians wear skin-tight suits which had millions of circuits woven through them and repel bullets with a powerful force field. A direct hit from a mortar would disable the device and often kill them. All we can say about them is that they are methodical, They understand that people live by daily rhythms, the disappearance and reappearance of daylight. These Scorthians seem lawless. They drag people out of their homes, away from their jobs. They have 4 arms, and each of them can carry an anesthetized man or woman in each pair of arms. They carry these people into their patrol ships, and these ships are everywhere now. You can step outside and see them pass 2 or 3 times in a single hour. They must have an awareness of how we suffer, even if only conceptual. These creatures are old. You can sense that they are old and bereft of ways to make the time pass. And look at all the time that life has granted them. We estimate at least 2 or 3 centuries. Each day I pray they do not come for me. Each day we all pray that the Scorthians will finally leave us in peace, that they will drift off into another part of the galaxy, seeking out the next civilization to set upon and stir into war and madness. One day after work I left the Institute for Scorthian Studies, where I serve as an analyst. Common job for an educated man these days. The Scorthians have forced us to learn their language. I have heard Scorthians speak, and it is chilling. They have studied human beings for millennia, and now they have moved in for a closer look. But as I was saying, one day I heard one of these brutes speak. He confronted us and said, "Choose which 2 of you will go with me." This massive beast with 4 arms, piercing large eyes, wearing a purple cloak tied at the neck. We drew straws. This time I wasn't so lucky. My wife screamed in dismay, but the draw itself had made the decision. Everyone was off the hook. I walked up to face this creature, soon to discover its terrifying intent. 2 people helped a woman as she staggered forward with weak, uncertain steps. They then stepped away and left her standing next to me. We turned around to face the beast. The soldier peered at us with a cruel intelligence. "You'll make an interesting couple," he hissed quietly. And so only we could hear before he shot a dart filled with sodium pentothal into each of us. Those nearby must have felt terror as they watched that creature bear us away. He has a ship parked just beyond the edge of the city. He has carried us there. We could tell we were in his ship because of the vibrations, telltale sounds through a ventilation shaft, and the design of the room itself looking as though it had been poured into a single giant mold. The walls had a strange, intricate texture. When we woke up, I felt the woman shaking me awake. "Just relax," I said. "We'll get out of here. There'll be a moment that thing turns its back. Right now he thinks he has everything well in hand, and we are powerless to evade him." "What's your name?" "Zelia." "Mine's Pietro." "You're not injured, are you? You can run?" "Yeah." "Okay, good. First chance we get, we run for the shadows. Those things don't see very well at night. I think we have one small chance in hell of overpowering that thing. And if we try and fail, he may kill us. Hell, Celia, He may intend to kill us. No one has ever returned from these son of a bitches. What makes you think you can, Pietro? What makes you so special? We're in this together. I want both of us to get out of here. He can be distracted. Well, he never sleeps. We can see him through the glass partition. He just sits there and watches us, sitting there with his big skull bobbing up and down as though he were paddling. Yes, but sometimes he leaves us. He goes off somewhere else within the ship. But we can get out of this room. I know we can. He's expecting us to escape, Pietro. He knows we'll try to, if we think we have a chance, and even if we don't. I expect he wants us to try, I said. This thing has found his pair of humans to entertain him, so. Zelia said, it's going to force us to have sex. I'll be forced to have a baby. I know it. For them, 9 months will just be an afternoon's diversion. They live for centuries, you know. Yeah, I know. We waited for him to bring us some food. He let one of our days go by before he fed us. He watched us with interest as we both rapidly ate the food, which looked quite familiar and tasted wonderful. Hunger heightens the appetite. One day he was sitting in his control chair watching us. I went up to the glass partition and waved my arm slowly above my head, saying, "Hey, buddy, I want to talk to you." Every so often I would repeat this same phrase. Finally, the creature got up from his chair and walked over to the partition. "What is it, Earthman? What do you want? Can you think of anything else to say to me? How many planets have you captured like this?" "Thousands." "What do you get out of it?" "Plenty, Earthman." "So, what do Scorthians believe? Clearly you don't believe in freedom. You Earth people are going to grow Scorthian plants, which we eat for food. One of them is called the Human Tree. The others we've taken, which is where the two of you are going, are already preparing the grounds in Iowa and Nebraska where you people used to grow corn. From now on, until we decide to leave this planet, you Earth people will grow the Human Tree, along with a few other Scorthian crops. We Scorthians are always amused that you Earth people imagine we will feast on you like you feast on cows and pigs. Very few Scorthians do this. We consider them diseased in the mind. The flesh of a living, conscious animal causes most of us to recoil in disgust. When do we arrive? You've just begun the descent. You'll be joining the rest of the Earth people here shortly. He then walked away from the partition and returned to the swivel chair he always occupied and handled the controls of the ship with his 4 sets of fingers. A remarkable display of dexterity. So, we were to become plantation workers and parents. The life that Zelia and I would lead here, and the life that Zelia and I would lead here is about to begin.